external or internal? As you've learned, external activities can be performed while the machine is still running. At the heart of external improvements is separating them from internal activities and ensuring they are completed before the machine is stopped or after the machine is up and running again. So, what can we do to improve activities that must be performed only when the machine is stopped? Internal setup tasks are business necessary. They add no value but are indeed necessary. Because of this, we must focus on reducing these internal activities. There are two steps. Understand the function and purpose of every task in your internal setup and innovate unique ways to convert internal steps to external steps. Understanding the function and purpose of every internal task involves looking at activities as they occur, not as they should occur. Remember, you have taken a Gemba walk, gathered information, recorded the setup, and mapped the process out. This valuable information will allow you to look at the setup process in the current state. As you do this, you will likely find that these common techniques will help improve your internal setup. Prepare operating conditions in advance. Standardize essential functions and use of intermediary jigs. Preparing your working conditions in advance of the actual internal activity can drastically shorten your changeover time. As part of the undergo conversion phase of reduce, this step looks to ensure that these activities are performed externally and not during the internal phase of your changeover. Some examples may be heating up or cooling down temperatures prior to the internal activity, establishing the correct pressure, time, or settings before the internal activity occurs, and positioning materials, tools, and equipment before they are needed for the internal activity. All of these activities can be done while a line is still running. Another powerful technique that can be effectively used to reduce the time spent on internal activities is the standardization of essential functions. As a setup or changeover begins, tools and supplies will be needed. When tooling is disassembled and attached, the tools required are oftentimes different. This is an essential function that must be performed, but it is also business necessary because it is not transforming the materials or information that the customer is paying for. It is not uncommon when operators are disassembling and attaching tooling for them to run back and forth to find the correct tools and make adjustments. This eats up time and does not always produce the desired output. To combat this problem, the reduce methodology borrows from the SMED system with an approach called function standardization. Function standardization requires only uniformity in the parts and features necessary for setup operations. The functions identified by Dr. Shingo in his book, A Revolution in Manufacturing, the SMED system are clamping, centering, dimensioning, expelling, grasping, and maintaining loads. There are two steps in the implementation of function standardization process. Decide which steps in your setup process can be standardized. Then, after standardization, decide which functions can be made more efficient by replacing the fewest possible parts or eliminating them altogether. The fewer the replacements needed in internal activities, the better. 0 replacements would be ideal. Another way that internal activities can be reduced is through the use of intermediary jigs. A jig is a type of custom-made tool used to control the location and/or motion of a part or parts or other tools in a setup. In this case, a custom jig can be made or purchased to quickly attach tooling. Oftentimes, if the jig is standardized, it can be left on machines so that tooling can be attached even quicker. These are some proven techniques that can be used to undergo your conversion. Remember, you have been to the Gemba, and your observation form should have established whether the activities were internal or external in the current state. As you understand what each of those functions truly needs to do, you and your team will likely find ways that are unique to your conversion process. That is okay. Now that you have a good start on converting activities, let's move forward and prepare to clean up your process.